right, folks. So 2 streams in one day. Who would have thought it? Me, maybe. That's interesting. We're gonna keep working. We're gonna keep plugging away. So we worked on the hills, and we got a first kind of hills hex. I'm gonna duplicate this. We're gonna do another one. I just want to keep the map kind of in view, so I'm just gonna plunk it over here for right now. We did the hills. It might be kind of fun and exciting to look at one of the settlements. Ian says hello again. Hello again to you. One of the settlements areas or settled areas here. Maybe this little triad of hexes that I grouped together. That maybe that's a single contiguous realm, and that we can have some fun filling that out. Now, the DMG, which is of course always goes into great detail with such things. Maybe I should use green. I'll use for a different color. What can I use for kind of settled areas? Maybe I'll use blue. That's like a nice watercolor. How about purple? Maybe we'll designate purple. So I don't know what we'll call this. Oh, I don't know. Southern Realm. My video is still frozen on YouTube and Twitch. I don't know what's going on. Let me try something. Video's still frozen. Let me see if I can. Well, but are you still seeing my cursor and stuff, or is it my face, or is it the whole screen frozen? All right, let me see if I can fix that. Am I back? Let me know if you can see me now. Can you see me now? My whole screen. Okay. All right. Can you see me now? I tried doing a quickie refresh. I'm not sure if not yet. Not yet. Blah 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 blah. Always a problem. I don't really have anything else to do. I mean, I could try. All right, let me try something here. Hopefully this won't. I'm back but not moving. Well, that doesn't help. All right, let me try something. Hold on. I'm gonna stop video. I'm going to change. Yeah, I said stop video. Get a new frame occasionally. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why this is happening. I'm not doing anything differently. In fact, I am doing everything utterly the same as I've been doing it. I don't know if it's a browser issue or what. Currently, it's a black screen. Well, I did switch. I did switch my cameras, so there's probably a delay. Well, what else can I do? Back with the frozen camera again. Okay, well, let us see something. All right, hold on a minute. I'm going to try something. All right, I'm going to try something, not quite a nuclear option, but I'm going to try something. I'm not running that many applications. I really am not. But I will shut down what I am doing. Yeah, I really am not. Let me only shut down what I can. I'm not getting any memory warnings, but I'm just going to keep closing. I'm going to close stuff out. Yeah, the video preview is fine on mine. It shows me moving and grooving, but that sometimes, frankly, has lied to me before. So let me let me kill some things, and I might have to let me close, I'll quit Discord, not that it's just in the background, but still, what else have I got going on? Yeah, I can exit that. Yeah, exit that. All right, I'm going to. All right, so here's kind of the. All right, let me try something here. If the stream ends, the stream ends, then I'll start a new part 5. But all right, here we go. It's gonna go blank probably for a second, and hopefully I'll be right back. So. All right, that's probably gonna be black. It's probably going to be black. Let me know if it doesn't get in the old Spark map. Good sign. Yep. All right. Let me know. Let me know if you see stuff or not. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. I mean, I'm not the only one using the internets in here, so, but I think I'm the only one who's doing kind of a streamy thing at the moment. With animated map only, but hear my voice. Well, my voice is the most important thing. All right, let's motor on, and hopefully things will catch up. And apologies. I'll try to figure out. Maybe I'm just running into something with this browser-based. Because I am using a browser-based streaming thing, which works for a lot of things very well. But could be that. It could be that I am streaming via my aged laptop. It could be that. So generally, when the laptop goes kaplooey, I'm just going to open my window here slightly. When the laptop goes kaplooey, it goes. And this doesn't seem to be that. And I'm not getting any errors and nothing like that. So I'm going to motor. And we'll figure it out as we go. So hopefully I'll come back. Okay. So I thought we'd do a kind of switch things up slightly. Maybe right for right now. I'll switch this up here. Switch things up slightly by doing another area. But this one I'm doing particularly for the realm. So this is going to be in here. And in this case, this southern realm, as I'm calling it, or we could call it south. I mean, yeah, there's only one of these in the south at the moment since we don't have names for anything. But we could call it southeast, I suppose. So I had to be specific. We're going to try to do that one. Now, I was going to say this might not work for everything. You might need to figure some things out. Well, actually, what I was going to say is we can kind of, so the DMG in its glory, one of the things it does have, right, is it gets super granular with things like wandering monsters. And what I mean by that is it has, not only does it have all those subtables and different encounters, but it actually specifies whether there's separate tables for whether you're inhabited or inhabited. And it talks about, if we go to page, let's see, okay, page, if you haven't have your DMG, when you go to page 182, at the bottom of the first column, we get to the outdoor random monster encounters. And we get some text that reads, outdoor encounters are divided into 2 sets of tables, one for areas which are inhabited and patrolled, the other for uninhabited wilderness areas. So I'm not really, at this point, I'm going to look at the inhabited areas section, see what kind of wisdom we get. Inhabited areas are always assumed to be patrolled. When an encounter in such an area is indicated, roll a d20. 5 and 20 are encounters with the patrol. So in their situation, basically, if you roll an encounter, there is a 5 and 20, what would be a 25% chance? 25% chance of an encounter of a patrol. So any encounter rolled has a 25% chance of being an encounter. So what you do is you roll, roll, and before you roll to see what creature you would do, you could you could roll. You could roll your you'd roll your die to see what you got to encounter, and then you would roll d20. If you got 5 or less, it would be a patrol, and and otherwise it'd be normal. And I'm just reading Krister's comments. Now all I see is the frozen screen, but normal audio. In other words, podcast mode has been engaged. Yeah, I guess we're gonna call this podcast mode. I'm gonna have to do some. I don't even know how to. That's the thing is, I don't even know how to test this stuff. Oh wait, it's unfrozen. Am I unfrozen? Well, look at that. Small miracle. Let's see. Let's see if it remains. All right. So I'm not going to do. So since I'm not doing the 5, I'm not going to do a 5% or sorry, 25% rolling chance of an encounter. But what we can do is, so I just copy and pasted the hills encounter. The hills encounter, I guess, or the hills. What are we going to call this? Encounter tables, frequency stuff, and I'm going to now start updating it. So what we could do here is put, and if we wanted to, so how can we do this? Well, we can do, so we're going to take out, so we're going to put, patrol. I'm just going to put patrol in about 3 of these spots. And then maybe we could put, let's see, what could we put in here? I'm just going to clear these out. Herd animals. We might even put, I don't know, what maybe what would be, I don't know, citizenry? I don't know. Yeah, what is that? Citizenry. We might need to have something in there. Just folks going about their life. I don't know if it's worth delving more into that or what, but then we can have, let's see, maybe herd animals, and then small games, something like that. Does the DMG break that stuff up? And I did bring the monster manual out from where it was hiding, so I do have that to look at as well if we need to. So the kind of stuff, let me read out a little bit. I must have passed it. The kind of things you get in, let's see, we're looking at temperate climate, inhabited and are populated or patrolled areas. So you still get a whole bunch of stuff, but you get different kind of men. So you get merchants. So men get somewhat expanded. They don't have you roll on the man subtable. They basically put them on the main table. So you get bandits, berserkers, brigands, dervishes, merchants, and nomads. I wonder what they mean. Should I look to see what they mean by nomad? Do you think it would be in the monster manual what exactly a nomad's supposed to be? I mean, what they mean. So we have pilgrims. All right, so we have pilgrims in the hills. We definitely want to have pilgrims. They're uncommon there. I would say they're at least probably uncommon, maybe more frequent over here. Oh, my book's going to slide away from me. All right, I'm going to have to fix you. All right, so we'll close you for the moment. All right, so we got, so I think patrols is good. So citizenry, I don't know. We could have, what would we call someone a agrarian type? What would I don't want to, I don't know if we necessarily need to be specific. Between like farmer, rancher. I don't know. So we can do maybe citizenry is good. And that way we can have a subtable if we actually want to break down which citizenry we have. Right. And then we could take some of the things that were maybe, what did we have in the common game I took out? Small game, we got that. Poison snakes. I think the large spiders and poison snakes being common, maybe not going to work, but we might want to put them in rare. Maybe. And these things that are, some of these things that are less dangerous. And I'm going to take out the gnomes and the orcs. I don't know what their situation is. We haven't really decided yet if these are big communities or just little small family units. I think we can go pilgrims is fine. I think we can definitely have brigands, which I think appeared in the, yeah. We still need to figure out what nomads are, but I'm fine to put nomads in here also. Take the halflings and the bugbears out right now. I'll put large game in here. Did I have a large game here? What did I do? Did I have large game? Did I even use that? No, small game. Maybe because large game I think is really just herd animals. Maybe that's. Well, let's see. We've got pilgrims, brigands, nomads. Oh yeah, merchants. Here we go. So we got 3 patrols. Maybe I'll just make this more specific. So we'll do farmer, herdsman, woodsman, or outdoorsman. Woodsman, could be a hunter, could be someone getting one of those. What do they call it? Literally getting firewood. Whatever. Anybody working in the out in the kind of not wilds, but sort of in the like gathering firewood or doing whatever. This is just cool water for the working man. Catherine asked, "This is Worldographer." Not quite, Catherine. You are half right in that this is just an image. This image was created in Worldographer, but right now I'm in an app called Ouija, which has kind of whiteboard, Kanban, mind map kind of utility that I can use to do other stuff. So we did this in Worldographer, and I'll probably go back into Worldographer because I want to tweak some of the stuff up to make kind of version 2 of this. But right now we're in Ouija. Dire quails. Ah, yes. The old dire quail. So I think, yeah, the stag is probably not going to be found here. We're going to get rid of the specters. So I think what I'm doing, so I guess if I was going to think about what am I doing, I guess philosophically here, basically these areas are settled, right? They're controlled, they're patrolled. So the wilder things are now moving down the list. It's almost like because we're in this settled area that's essentially under active watch, all the things that were in the hills where it was wilder and freer and more dangerous, everything's being shifted down. So we're not going to have all this crazy stuff that's going to be there. Maybe we'll have some, we can have it under the dragon. We could put, we can add, or ... one. Yeah, hey, I'm just putting some placeholders. We could have something like that. And we could do the same thing up here. Catherine says I'm using a modified version of Loop Gearing's hex fill procedure and going insane, making random encounters for each hex separately. Yeah, that's not. I like I mentioned so yesterday. We kind of talked about this a little bit. So what I like to do is just to give you an overview. So I like to do a kind of regional sort of thing and then get specific where need be. So yesterday we did this hill. We did encounters or encounter tables for the hills. Now, through our original random generation, we ended up with a lair, 3 layers in the hills, 1 of orcs, 1 of gnomes, or 2 of gnomes. And in those, I would have maybe a different set of encounters because you're kind of around that layer, how the layer affects it. So I would take that hill encounter table, which is here, and kind of tweak things for gnomes. And the same thing for orcs. And if we determine there are other points of interest that might affect it, then I would do that for that. But I want to have one that kind of works, at least not necessarily for all hills in the campaign world, but these particular hills. And then I can take that and then use it. And if I want to have some reason why this particular group of hills, let's say we're looking at 4655 by 20 time 0.2980, has something unique about it, then I can do that. But I think doing one for each hex individually, it's a lot of work. Not saying that it can't bear fruit, but it's a lot of work. All right, so we're moving all the wildlife down below. So should I just move these? Yeah, I guess I can just do that, right? Except, there we go. Except I'm going to take the bugbears out, halflings are out, pilgrims are out, and I'll put, let's see. Maybe we can just do this. Oops. Ah! A, B, C. Something like that. Oh yeah, Catherine, where is this Luke Gearing's hex fill procedure? Where did you get it? Where is this thing? Maybe we could look at it in another stream. Though the idea of doing every hex, unless you're starting with like a Chicago Wiz 3 hex kind of deal, man, each hex having its own encounters. So I think it might be that Domino does it, but they just have, I think it's just a D6 encounters. I'm like my encounter table is a bit more complicated than theirs. If you're doing just D6, that's a little bit easier. Still, it's a lot of work, but it's kind of a touch easier. And Nightbot might not let you post a link in here, so if you just want to post the name of it, we could probably do the searching. So giant links. Sapphire Rich says there's an Arnisonian Blackmore Spring hex migration too. Once per year, you could shake up every hex's table. Well, that's cool. I like that. I definitely like that. So we got the giant links. Oops. We don't need the pilgrims anymore. We don't have the things. We got a lot. Maybe did I use cave bears? What did I had? 2 kinds of bears. I had cave bears and did I just have cave bears? Oh, I had dire bears and cave bears. Maybe I'll just go dire bears. The cave bears aren't here. There might be a dire. Mythic Mountain says, it seems like this book can do just about everything. I feel like I learn new stuff every time I open it. There's a lot there. Not always the easiest to get to or parse, but there's a lot there. Catherine says, if you search Luke Gearing Wolves Upon the Coast Hexfill procedure, it'll pop up. Yeah. I knew that if you tried to do the link, Nightbot would probably, or something else would stop you, but there you go. Search for Luke Gearing Wolves Upon the Coast Hexfill procedure. Maybe I'll look at that in another stream. So what do we got here? So we got our infrequent. We now have, so in this area, we're looking at this kind of Southern Kingdom. We've got patrols, farmer, herdsman, woodsman, herd animals, small game. And we have a bunch of other things: pilgrims, brigands, nomads, merchants, wild horses, wolves. Maybe wolves should go. Yeah, wolves should probably not be. I'll put wolves. Dire bears. I'll just put bears. Good old brown bears. Actually, let me put wolves first. Wolves. Nightbot got you. Soon, Mythic Mountains, you will learn the ways of Nightbot. It is a harsh mistress. However, says the AD&D DMG requires studying like a philosophical tome, or really like some kind of ancient tome written in some kind of half-forgotten language. So we have giant lynx, giant eagle, wolves, brown bears, and then we can put. So if you don't want to have the enemy approaches, we'll add all the nasties over here. So we'll put the trolls, wargs, because they might come out of the hills, but not often. And we could probably put one in the rares too, whichever one we think is more, maybe the more common. I don't know. Stone giants, not the specters. We'll come up. We'll roll some dice to see if we'll roll some dice and we'll see if we can get some other nasties. What else did we have that we had to move down? We had orcs. Yeah, so the orcs, because the orcs have a presence, we have orcs and gnomes. So it makes sense that in the, whoops, we'll put that in here. We'll put the orcs and we'll put the gnomes in here. Because they're right there. And this is kind of a thing, right? So when you're working on your hex filling, once you start to have stuff around, then you get to build off of it, because now you can look at it and say, oh, these guys' neighbor, I have a neighbor over here. And then when you look at what that neighbor is, then you can say, okay, well, I have gnomes right next door. So it makes sense that gnomes should be on the list for this hex. And then, that cuts down the amount of work. So not that we've completed this, we haven't gotten everything, but we already are much farther ahead in the game than we were at this point yesterday, because we don't have to start from scratch. Terrence says, I wish they would stop calling it Gygaxian and go back to calling it confusing. Well, it is both. It is both Gygaxian and confusing. All right, let's see how this works. So I want to roll a couple dice here because we have a bunch of stuff in the uncommon section. Giant lynx, giant eagle, wolves, brown bears, orcs, gnomes. Yeah, let's see. We might have to move, and we might have to move some things around. Some of the rares might have to go in the uncommons. Some of the other things might have to move. We shall see. And like I said, I've got my monster manual, so we can check that one too. So here we go. We're in inhabited or patrolled areas, and we're basically in plain. So if you're following along home, I rolled a 20, which nets me halflings. Well, we had halflings in the forest, so I guess it makes sense. But I feel like in that case, halflings were already uncommon. Are we saying that they're more common here? Or maybe they're just common? Well, I'll put halfling. You know what? I'm not going to. We don't know what the halflings are, or if they're even going to remain halflings. For the moment, whatever they are, we're putting them there. Now I rolled a 77, which I get. Well, let's see. 77 gets me pilgrims, which I already had. I already got you, pilgrims. I already got you, pilgrim. Phil says, yeah, halflings and gnomes are friends. Are they, Phil? Are they? Or is there some blood feud that rends their communities? I got 39. This is going to get me dervishes. All right, what are they calling a dervish in this game? Let me see if the monster manual has any help. It's just the excuse I needed to pull out the old monster manual. Which version is this? Once belonged to a guy named Rob Beck. Sorry, Rob, it's mine now. Oh, let's see. We go to men. Okay, dervish. Dervishes are highly religious nomads. They are encountered only in the desert or steppe/plains areas. Highly religious nomads. Wouldn't that make them pilgrims? All right. So we got they're essentially a nomadic subtype, I guess, but sure, we'll put them in there now. We'll have to figure out what separates them. We're gonna have to figure out. We're gonna need to figure out what's going on with these dervishes. So okay, percent. So oh yeah, there you go. No, you asked for it. You asked for it, Sapphire Ridge. You're getting it. Percent in lair for the dervish, 5 or 15%. There you have it. There you have it. Fluffy the Griffin's lucky to have. I lost my original books ages ago, but I was able to rebuy them before the prices got too insane. Is this the one that has? What is it? No, wait. The Monster Manual pretty much is just the same, but I have a Deities and Demigod with some of the Cthulhu and other mythos that they had to later remove, like the Melnebony, how are you pronounced? Elric stuff in there too. Okay, so we got dervishes. Let's roll some more dice. What else we got? 43. No. Yes. No. 84. Why did I see that as a 3? The 8 and the 3 on this kind of look the same. It's actually 84, which I think is going to get us men again, isn't it? No, it's going to get us orcs. Well, we already had orcs. We already got orcs. $37. Catherine says the prices are bonkers. I'm thankful to have the OSC advanced rules a bit easier to process. Yeah, I haven't actually looked at those, but I presume they're good. I mean, I think the only thing with the OSC advanced rules, right, is they're trying to kind of take the AD&D stuff and kind of retrofit it to the BX framework. And I don't know if they do. I mean, because I haven't read it, I don't know if they, I can't comment on how well of a job they did with that. It's probably going to be kind of a your miles may vary sort of thing. I got brigands. Again. I don't need any more brigands. 20 on the button. 20. All right, I'm not in men. Halflings again. Gosh. No, yeah, plains, halflings. Yeah, that is halflings. Oh my gosh. Getting repeats. 51. I'm into men again. Merchants. All right, I might need to read some stuff off the list because Faulty Wire. Yep, you were in as Faulty Wire. You're gonna change their first one. Fluffy the Griffin says mixed opinions. Yeah, I know Bane's Keep AK Daniel kind of has mixed thoughts. Assuming we're talking about the OSC Advanced. I don't know if he thinks it's poorly done. I think he feels like if you're gonna play BX, then you should just kind of play like he just wants to play BX and not play BX with AD&E kind of stuffed in. Well, like I said, I haven't read it. Catherine says, I have the 3E core books and 5E. Everything else I had to buy repros. I want to get the 4E core books for funsies and was gobsmacked by the prices. Really? Even for 4th edition? I'm kind of surprised because there should be a ton of it. I still have my original. I mean, it's I don't know. I guess it is a while ago now. But I have my 4E core books. I never really got into what did they call it? What was that refresh they did a 4th edition? Essentials. I just have the pre-essential stuff. I think unless I have a supplement or something that came out in the crossover to essentials. I don't recall. Yeah, essentials. Yep. Catherine says, talking about the AD&D stuff, then just don't. Having more options doesn't mean you're coerced to use them. I mean, well, that's true. I think ultimately you're absolutely right, Catherine. People often do feel coerced to use the choices given. I'm not saying I don't think that Daniel would be. I don't want to speak for him, Yeah, I think maybe it is that once the AD&D stuff comes in, I guess I don't know. It's probably about how you feel like if you're maintaining the kind of flow and feel of the game, right? And once you start to get more complex, it's kind of so I guess the analog I would use is sometimes you have a board game, right? And in the board game, it's just elegant and it just works. And it's like, wow, this is simple and beautiful and elegant. It works. And then the board game company will come out and they'll put out an expansion, and you think, oh, great, got to be good. And what they're trying, and then through this expansion or through a sequel, maybe they'll take a sequel and they'll take that original formula and then they'll try to add more complexity to it. And sometimes it works, and then sometimes you look at it and go, wow, it's all right, but something is lost, right? We added this stuff in, but now that kind of elegance and simplicity that the earlier game, the first game had, they weren't able to maintain it. Even though they added something which you could argue has more depth and more whatever, more complexity, they're because I can't really, I'm not going to be able to articulate their point like they could, right? And I have not even really read it myself, so I can't even say from my own personal experience reading it whether it was or not. I've really never had a desire to, and that's kind of my, I don't want to say love-hate relationship, but that's kind of where I am with OSC in general. It's great. I've got BX. Yeah, sometimes it's nice. I feel like, ooh, I could use the OSC kind of index to find what I'm looking for, but ultimately, I just find in BX and I use BX. I don't feel like having the OSC version does really that much for me. I mean, I think there's some efficiencies, whatever, but I'm comfortable with BX as it is with its faults and its foibles and whatever. So I just use it. And if I'm playing BX, I'm probably not just going to, I don't think I would handle I don't know exactly how they handle the AD&D stuff, but I'll just do it myself. I don't need their take on doing it. I'll do it. I'll do it myself, easy. And I like that and I enjoy it. Don't need it. So I'm not someone who went out and bought all the OSC books, though. I appreciate what they did for kind of, I don't want to say hooking BX back in, because BX had been sort of the core, in a sense, the underlying chassis for a whole bunch of OSR stuff prior to OSC really coming out. But, I appreciate it kind of keeping the kind of BX style gaming alive and well, but it's just not for me. I don't need it. I don't need it. All the more power to them. Just don't need it. And as Sapphire Rich points out, that OSC does miss a lot of the context that is described in the BX books. Yes, leaves new players in the dark because it lacks examples and stuff. Yes, and I've heard that from a few people, right? That's the one thing with OSC, I think, if you want to look at and say, what did they not, right? BX is a great teaching book in that, and that's because that's how it was designed. By turning it into a reference, yes, you get all this great, much better organization, obviously modern layout, all that stuff that's great, but you lose, like Sapphire Ridge mentions, you lose a lot of the context that they give you, and so you end up with people who have the OSC books and not understanding some of the key concepts because it just doesn't try to teach them to you in the way that the BX books will try to teach them. And I hate to say go give WotC money, but you can get digital versions of BX, and you may even be, I don't know if they have them printing. I don't keep on top of what you can get printed as a repro, but you could probably do some kind of digital Lulu kind of thing, or maybe they do have them not printed as reproductions. If someone's printed one through drive-through or elsewhere, let me know. But you can get the originals, have them free and clear and legal. So, not a bad thing to try out, even if ultimately you prefer OSC as a reference. And I totally get it if you do, because it is a much better reference. The Griffin got their Rules Cyclopedia POD from drive-through, print on demand. Yeah, I've heard good things about it. I've seen it. I have 2 OG copies of the Rules Cyclopedia, so I'm not in the market for a reprint. But yeah, that's a good deal too. I don't love a lot of the things that the BECME and ultimately the Rules Cyclopedia add into it. I just think it ends up being a lot more complicated than it needs to be, and it does sort of stretch things out. Like Thieves, their progression gets way stretched out, stuff like that. But there's a lot of stuff in there where if I need something, you know, I'm at the point where if I'm playing BX, I'm playing the game, and something comes up. Granted, I can always just do something off the top of my head, but I feel like there probably is someone's probably already come up with an elegant way to do this. The places I'll probably check is Rules Cyclopedia and the DMG. And since the numbers are so close in between all those, you can pretty much just take whatever mechanic in the DMG you run into or whatever procedure or the Rules Cyclopedia and just run it, right? And those are usually kind of the places I'll look at them. I don't find it in the DMG and I don't find it in the Rules Cyclopedia, then I'll go back to, well, what do I think it would be? That's assuming I have time, right? If I'm in the moment and it's, you know, I was playing a con game or running a con game or something, or a one shot, and it's just kind of times of the essence, I obviously I wouldn't go through the steps, but they're great. They're great resources to have on hand. Just to, even if only you want to do is just kind of backfill stuff when you need to. All right, where were we? We need some more guys, but I keep rolling up stuff I have. I'm gonna try. Let's try another roll. We'll see. We'll see what we get. I got 16. Somehow I keep getting the same guys over and over again. God, it's gnomes. Gnomes. We already got gnomes, right? We have gnomes, don't we? Where are the gnomes? Yeah, the gnomes are down in rare. I might have to move them up. All right, let's look in the book. I'm gonna look in the monster map. I should have gotten Fiend Folio just for some fun. All right. Oh, you know, that's the other thing. We do have. So here we've got goblins, giant frogs, and snakes, and I imagine at some points they might wander in here. So probably in the we'll see, we'll do in here. We'll put halflings. Well, you know what? Let's do this. We're gonna move dervishes up here. We'll put wild horses here. Then we're going to put our halflings, orcs, and gnomes up in here. That gives us out. Take these out. Then we're going to put, we'll put the wolves. Put those there. This gives us got some moving room. Yeah, Flip the Griffin, this stream is definitely kind of chunky salsa. Apologies for that. It's been kind of coming and going. Maybe my internet connection has just been rough today. I'm not sure. Apologies for that in advance. But yeah, I doubt you're alone. I doubt you're alone in that. All right, so we got giant lynx, giant eagle. Now we can put some of the stuff. So we got goblins. Goblins. Oh my gosh, spelling, please. Goblins. Did I spell it wrong again? I put goblins. How about goblins? Thank you. Giant frogs. Frogs. We got constrictor snakes. Oh, and the lizard folk. Well, there we go. There we go. The voiceover is still buttery. Buttery. Nope, not on your end. It's on my end. But I'm glad my voice is coming through, and there's not that much going on screen other than my face. Maybe what I can do is I can actually remove my face. I don't think it won't make anything better, but maybe just in terms of the disconnect between the stream, just take my face off there. Disconnect between the stream, at least it won't seem so funky. So we've pretty much got this one down. I mean, that's pretty good. So what we could put here is, so I'll add or 1 A 2 B C D E F, the stag, Will-o-wisps. So I just added stuff to the wizard section. I can add some things in, and I still need some things for the dragon. Is there anything? We don't have any other. We haven't have any other things here. The lizard folk, constrictor snakes, giant frogs. We got orcs. We got the gnomes. I'll roll some dice. Let's see if we get something funky. Sapphire Ridge says, let me put this on screen here. Could I talk about the number of appearing monsters for the table? Do you just run it 1-to-1 for the monster manual? Yes, I will tend to just run it from the monster manual numbers, unless I've thought about it enough to change it myself. So what I'll use the monster manual numbers as kind of a default. And then if I have time, if I've got time to customize it, I will. If I don't, I'll just run it. And it's just, I'll use kind of common sense, whatever I think is appropriate. So if some crazy number of dervishes, for example, or snakes, it's like, oh, you're going to get 50 to 250 here, and that doesn't make sense for the context, then I might adjust the numbers. If it's something where, well, I've decided these nomads or dervishes or snakes don't travel in that kind of large numbers across this patrolled area because no one would let them, there would just be a major war, then I'll change it. But I'll usually take the book numbers just because they're convenient as a starting point. I mean, if you have time, you're always going to get better results for your game if you come up with them yourself. If you don't have time, use the book number. I got 66, which again is going to give me, it's merchants. Come on. All right, what else we have? So we have, okay, we got bears, which we already got. Stag beetles, wild boars. Oh, wild boars. Yes. That could work. Not very fantastical, like. Oh, a groaning spirit. I like that. So if we have, I don't know what is a groaning spirit? Is that a thing? Monster manuals. Do you have a groaning spirit? What the heck is that? Oh, they do have it. But of course they do. Of course they do. So let's see. Have you ever heard of a groaning spirit? Am I the only one that, I mean, I'm sure I've run across it before because I've looked at these books about 1 billion times, but all right, what is a groaning spirit? Here we go. I want to compare it to a specter because a specter, I mean, specters groan, right? Let's do a little quick compare. Which one's worse? I might swap these around. All right, anyone want to take a guess on what is nastier, a specter or a groaning spirit? Yes, very Christmassy, Jacob Marley, exactly. So here we go. We'll start with frequency. A groaning spirit, oh, it's a banshee. Okay, in parentheses, banshee. So there we go. That's what it is. Number appearing 1, very rare. Specters are rare, and you get up to 1 to 6. Armor class of a specter, or sorry, a groaning spirit is 0. Specter, it's 2. Move, remember we're doing inches still, so move 15 inches. For a specter, it's 15 or 30 inches. Hit dice of a groaning spirit is 7. Hit dice of a specter is 7 plus 3. Percent in lair for Sapphire Ridge. Groaning spirit 10%. Specter 20%. Number of attacks 1 for the groaning spirit, 1 for the specter. Damage 1d8 for the groaning spirit, 1d8 for the specter. Let's see. The groaning spirit has a special attack of, what is it? Okay, it's got the chilling touch. No, that's not the special attack. Oh, wait a minute. The groaning spirit can attack by its chilling touch, causing 1d8 hit points of damage per attack when it strikes. Its more fearsome mode of attack, however, is its wail or keening, which will cause the hearers within 3 inches to save versus magic or die on the spot. The sight of a groaning spirit causes fear unless an appropriate saving throw is made. It can wail but once per day and only during darkness. Groaning spirits cannot be affected by charm, sleep, or hold spells. They are impervious to attack by cold or electricity. Exorcism kills them. Nasty. And they do have 50% magic resistance. And you need a +1 or better weapon to hit. Now, specters, on the other hand, have more hit dice. I mean, at least, well, they have a +3 to their hit dice, whereas groaning spirits don't. Their special attack is energy drain, and they have some kind of different. Yes, Joseph Purdy. Yes, Banshee. The Groaning Spirit is basically a Banshee, and it says Banshee in parentheses also. So what does it say about Specters? The Specter's Chilling Touch causes 1d8 hit points of damage and drains 2 life energy levels from an opponent. All right, so whereas the Groaning Spirit just took your 8 hit points, the Specter takes some levels from you also. Thus, an 11th level character or an 11 hit dice creature struck by a Specter would suffer 1d8 hit points of damage plus loss in level ability, hit dice, etc. Such loss is permanent, but characters can regain lost levels through continued acquisition of experience points, of course. Certain magic might restore lost levels as well. Specters are not affected by sleep, charm, hold, or cold-based spells. Poison or paralyzation do not harm specters. Holy water causes a specter to suffer 2d8, 2 to 8 hit points of damage for every vial full which hits it. A raised dead spell will destroy a specter unless it makes its saving throw versus magic. Any human totally drained of life energy by a specter becomes a half-strength specter under the control of the specter which drained him. Yeesh. What does it say? It doesn't say anything about magic resistance, though, does it? Because it says see below, but I don't actually see anything about magic resistance. So I don't know about that. See below, but there's nothing below. Oh, I see. So they're not affected by sleep, charm, hold, or cold-based spells. I guess that's the see below. But they don't have a flat magic resistance, whereas the Banshee, aka the Groaning Spirit, does have a flat 50%. On top of not being affected by charm, sleep, or hold. So which one is the nastier one? I don't know. Sapphire Ridge asks, would I pre-make a lair for Banshees and then drop it in if the players encounter their lair in a hex? Yeah, so I did that separately. So there's a ton of different ways to skin the cat, but essentially if we come back up to the map here, these cave-like openings are where I generated lairs. So those are the lairs so far that are on the map. All these. So there's, if you look at, I don't know, we can count up that area, but basically, we got all these are layers. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 layers. So those are the layers that I pre-did. So that's just how I did it. As I rolled up, basically kind of like, what did I do? I don't remember exactly what mechanic I used. I rolled dice. Did I come up? I don't remember how I came up with it, but I basically did that. So in this case, this is specifically for wandering creatures, and so they would not have a lair, or at least not. Maybe I'd say this, a major lair, or you could roll to see if it's in their lair, right? So what you would do is, these are kind of, so the ones, let me try to explain. Let me start over. Okay. The layers that are listed up here, these are what I would maybe call major kind of landmark layers. They are important enough, big enough that they're going to show up on the map. What you can do, and it's kind of up to you, and you can use context, whatever, is if you roll a random encounter for a Banshee, let's say, a Groaning Spirit, you could roll that percentage in layer to see if the source, whoever you deign to be the source of the Banshee is it right there, or is it somewhere else? Totally fine. Or you could just have it be kind of wandering the lands. But these represent the kind of major layers. That's not to say there aren't kind of minor ones in here. And yeah, you could use the percent in layer for that, or some other roll to determine whether you've stumbled upon like a temporary layer or like a Banshee, maybe that, however you want to decide that Groaning Spirits are made. Like, what is it? Is there some body that was not buried in hallowed ground properly and it became a Banshee? Whatever it is, some kind of weird desecrated ground, an old churchyard. I don't know. You could. I don't know what the legends of banshees are, frankly, in terms of how they're made or where they're supposed to come from, or are they just fairy spirits, or if they're the spirits of the dead? I don't know. In this case, they call it a Groaning Spirit. It is kind of a dead thing, so you can kind of determine that. So I guess ultimately, it's kind of a combination of both. The major layers are on the map. The minor layers are not. So I guess saying with that, we talk about this would kind of, I guess the sizes of these should be enough that they're sort of, they're big enough to be known. So they're not going to be tiny layers. They're going to be substantial because they're listed. There's enough of a population, they've made enough of a mark on the land so that they get a symbol. If you could imagine some, I don't know, very sneaky, wily cartographer coming through here, there's enough orcs here, enough gnomes, whatever, to say like, oh yeah, gnomes are here. Whereas even though there might be a banshee in this hills, you kind of blink and miss it, kind of thing. But I wouldn't necessarily pre-make the lair. I mean, unless that's the thing, right? When I rolled these layers, I then rolled separately to see what was in them. So I could have rolled and gotten banshee, and then you would have a banshee lair here, and I'd want to figure out what that means, just like I want to figure out what these gnomes and orcs and all these kind of what they really are. In this case, with these wandering creatures, it's not anything significant. That wherever they're laying their head or emanating their evil from, it's not a location significant enough to have made it on a map of this abstraction. Maybe some local folks might know where it is, but not somebody looking down, because I always imagine, in a way, when you're looking at this map, kind of hex map, that it's like someone launched a satellite and took a snapshot and made some rough marks to show where kind of major things are. So there's obviously tons of stuff in these hills that have no mark in them, but they're not enough to make it on the map. They're too insignificant. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. What do we got here? So I'm going to we'll put a wailing. Do I have a wailing spirit? This is in the rarest of the rare, 2.78 chance. So basically, to get a wailing spirit here, not only do you have to roll boxcars, but then you have to roll 6. So I feel okay putting this. It's nasty, but at the same time, and the thing is too, with these, as we're creating these tables, I want to think about, if I'm saying that there are potentially multiple wailing spirits rolling around the countryside, like what is it? What's going on here that causes this to happen? Are they roaming around from some other direction? Maybe I should actually put specters here. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I was gonna originally so I was thinking of wailing spirits maybe as being lesser versions of specters, and that way it would show kind of an escalation, but they're not. So I'm gonna actually replace those with specters, because I like the consistency of having something like that. I don't think we had any other undead, did we? We didn't. So we got trolls, wargs, manticores, stone giants, cave bears. Doesn't really seem to be in the same league. What else we have here? We've got, let's see, giant rats. No. Groaning spirits. We just saw hill giants. Boulette, wild boar, ankegs. Let's see. I'm going to put a lycanthrope in there. Bear or wolf? We got all of them. We got a lot of bears here, so I'm going to put. Joseph asks, are there any considerations for keeping roads safe from these monsters? Well, yeah, that's kind of what so the table is kind of weighted towards they will be rare occurrences, Joseph. So if we look at, so there's a couple things, right? So if we look at the table here, I'm going to be rolling a 2d6, and I put the percentages here so you can see. So the most common stuff is about 40% of the time, and half of those are patrols. So you're going to see a lot of patrols emanating from this. This is a castle. So because we're talking about this area here. So here's this castle that is essentially guarding these 2 spots. So patrols are going to be coming around on the road, moving around the woods. They're there. So the most common thing you will probably find over time, patrols. So I just put half the table. I could have put more. I could have actually cut, I could move these around. I might still. Who knows? I might move them around still. But essentially, often you're going to run into patrols, fairly often. And so you're only going to be running into so in these lands, you got to roll to get something that's, I don't know. So here we have an uncommon. So 20% of the time, you might run into one of the following things: the halflings, the orcs, the gnomes. They're all these guys that live around here in the perimeter. So it makes sense that they would whether friendly or unfriendly, might have incursions into these lands. We haven't decided kind of who they are yet or what they want, so we don't know whether they would be friendly or not, but you're only going to get them 20% of the time, one of those. And that also includes things like wolves and brown bears and something else we haven't determined. And then the next level, which you get things like the giant lynx, the giant eagle, and then we also have the things from the swamp, because here we have these guys might have incursions from this direction coming in, because this kind of swampy area, they might pop in here. That's on a 5.5% chance, so less than 6% chance of that happening. And remember, this is all assuming that you roll whatever you need for a random encounter. So you might say that in this area, it's only a 1 in 6 chance of an encounter. Then after that 1 in 6, which is already a 16% chance and change, on top of that, then it's 6% chance. And you can do that kind of math, right? 6% of 16% chance means that it's pretty darn rare that you're going to get these, let alone getting the stuff that you're getting here, which is when you have to roll double sixes. You got to roll boxcars to get to this one, and that's where all the really nasty stuff is. So I think that the way this table is weighted, these tables are weighted for this realm, you're going to be much more likely to run into these guys here, the common and the frequent, than certainly anything down here. And of course, you can tweak the numbers, but even if you were rolling a lot because you want to show this as being populous, so you want to roll a lot, you still only have a 3% chance of getting something. So I feel like that's pretty good. I feel like that's all right. But again, we could tweak those numbers more. Dave says, I really like the weighting. Oh, thank you. You've written it down. Well, great. Use it in my honor, with my compliments. And certainly, if we wanted to have, just to kind of close the loop, Joseph, if you wanted to have a table for, because here's a road. So we have a road that runs, and this is abstracted out, but the road probably doesn't just come here and dead end. It probably goes to the castle, then goes to the village, and there's probably some kind of tripartite road here that connects these three things, and then comes up through. I don't know if this is a good area or not, but this has got to be a scary patch of road with the orc gnome badlands in between this northwestern kingdom and this southeastern kingdom, whatever they are, realms, whatever. Certainly we could have a whole different encounter table if you wanted to for the road, for being on the road, in which case you might have none of a lot of the stuff, and then only whatever. Ian says that he likes the curve, but I think, damn, I really want to make that cool thing happen. I'm probably never going to roll boxcars. I hear you. But you know what? Odder things are happening. Like the time I rolled like 2 dragons twice in a row, like not for encounters with my party, where it's like, oh, there's no way I'm going to roll this. I'm like, wham, dragon. And then like next, I'm like, roll another one, dragon. Oh, Dave's got to go. The dog is out of surgery. He's doing great. Oh, awesome. I didn't know your dog had to get surgery, but I'm glad he's doing well. My cat is licking himself here next to me, but not in a, not in a non-G-rated way. He's like licking his back or something, cleaning himself up, keeping himself nice and clean. Right, Bruce? Good. Hey, Catherine, take it easy. Yeah, there is a push-pull. Of course, you can move things around, right? So if you want to have something appear more often, you can do that. You can, or if you want to keep the kind of BX style, sort of anything can happen and probably will type tables, then you can you just got to be ready for weirdness to happen. I think in a 3, I want to say that in 3 encounter rolls, I rolled 3 times, got some random encounters, and I think it was like dragon, and I think the next time I rolled, I got a gorgon, and it's all cool, but I had to rack my brain with like the dragons I had covered. And I was like, the gorgon. It's like, what am I going to do with a gorgon showing up? And I figured it out, but there's pluses and minuses, just different things you got to deal with wherever you go. Maybe I'll move the giant lynx to uncommon. No. And what could be here? What could I put? Was there anything? Oh, the bugbears. Oh, yeah. We got bugbears rolling now. So there we go. Local. What do we call them? Gentry, nobility, local. I don't know. The lord, a manorial entourage. This is on kind of the unlooked for, or we could roll. I put the will-o-wisps. I kind of like will-o-wisps as sort of like there might be something cool nearby, and it's kind of a sign of something interesting. And then the stag is being that's kind of special something. Aristocrats. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yep. Aristocratic entourage. I don't know if there's anything really amazing. I'm not sure. We could kind of think. We could think what that might be. Other things, but that's basically it. And I could add these. All right, I could just have these as being like maybe for the most part. I know that's probably what I'll do. I mean, it's kind of a cheat, but not really. Oops, stop. I wish you'd stop doing that, but you're going to do it again. That's fine. There we go. Terrence, don't do it. All right, so now we got a full kind of thing for this southern realm down here. And remember, I can amp these up, moving them around. Like I said, I can move them. I got a whole bunch of different types of men. I might combine some of these together. Dervishes and pilgrims. And that's the kind of the one thing you can do, right? We looked at dervishes, and it's just they're nomadic, religious nomads. But we have nomads here. Do we need them twice? And I don't even know that really my concept in my brain here is not of a bunch of nomadic peoples. This is not the steppe or some kind of place that. So I don't know what nomads mean in this context. So I want context. So I'd want to figure that out. And once I figure that out, maybe I would merge in some of these into those peoples. I'm not sure. We've only got one. I mean, really, other than patrols and these, maybe some of these I'd cut down on. And I don't know. Like you could play around again. You could play around with the odds to try to get kind of what you want. Maybe we don't need, like I said, maybe we don't need dervishes, nomads, and pilgrims as three different things. Yeah, Sapphire Ridge says pilgrims are heading to a religious destination. Nomads move around the nearby lands. Yes, but I'm just not sure it's appropriate for this area. But maybe it is. I don't know. I mean, I just got to figure out. I just got to figure out in my mind, what does it mean? We definitely have, because this area is settled in the fact that someone's planted some flag down, built a castle, built some villages, and said, okay, we're kind of sedentary. We're here. Now, does it make sense that we also have folks that are just kind of moving around? Maybe there's, and I know, obviously in different media, different books, they have such things. In real life, it happened in the world history, depending on, right? There were times when you had settled peoples and you had peoples who were moving around, all like coexisting, doing their own thing. Whether that's happening here, I don't know. Does it make sense here? I don't know. It's kind of like you just got to wrap your brain around it. Maybe I'll come up with something like, oh, this is what they're doing, or not, right? We haven't figured out, we haven't put wherever the religious thing is, we haven't figured it out yet. Probably somewhere in these hills. Right, we just got to figure that out. Sapphire Ridge says maybe the nomads are like the Rangers from Lord of the Rings, providing a service to make the area safe. Could be. I mean, the Rangers were kind of doing it in secret, but sure, yeah, it could be. We haven't figured out what kind of the problem is, or what not the problem. I guess what the crisis is. If there's something going on here, what it is, and if we figure that part out, that might give us a clue to what these other things are doing, like the orcs and the gnomes and the goblins. Are they happy orcs and self-satisfied goblins and content gnomes, or are they all marching to war? And how do they feel about the people? Like, we don't know. We don't know yet. So we just got to kind of figure it out. But that's the fun kind of world building stuff. It's trying to figure out, okay, what are these gnomes? What are these gnomes really, and what do they want? Are they just flat out gnomes, or do we replace them with some other creature of our making? All kinds of fun stuff we could do with that. But for now, let's call it a stream. Sorry about the difficulties, but I think that hopefully if I could say, like, I hope there's one takeaway here other than just having fun building up this area. It took us a while to do this one, and it ended up taking us a while to do the second one. But once I have this first one down, I was able to use this first set of wandering creatures as a template for this new set. And now, because I've got neighbors and because I have marked areas with things, those fill up my table. So since I have this surrounding hills area, things that exist in those hills are naturally going to wander into this valley. They just are, right? Things that just don't stay in the hills and then never leave a hill. They're going to wander out here, and then things happen. So that give us a leg up on creating the encounter table. And since we also have this swamp area here, and we don't know everything there, we might need to amend this table once we figure out more what's going on in the swamps. But we know we've got snakes, goblins, and giant frogs that are prominent. It makes sense that those would also wander in here, so we add that to our table. And then it's just kind of filling in around those and then coming up with the stories around those things. Why do we have dervishes, merchants, nomads, brigands, and pilgrims all wandering through here? Merchants makes sense. Pilgrims, we can figure that out. Dervishes and nomads, maybe less so, but we do have wild horses there, so maybe that's a thing. Fun stuff. And for the most part, and really, I didn't use the monster manual to any great degree. We're still just using our own kind of the tools of our brain, and then the DMG. So that's great. I will probably tomorrow, I imagine I'm going to do muster. If you've been following along on the muster read-alongs, I think tomorrow will be a muster, doing some more reading of muster. So look forward to that. Otherwise, folks, have a great rest of your day, night, whenever you end up watching or listening to this. I would give the salute, but I took myself off camera because of the jittery streaming. Game on, everybody, and I will talk to you later. Bye now.